Hi, I'm Jay Gruenke, founder of The Balanced Runner, and I have been helping runners from beginner to Olympian improve their form and performance since 2003. And I'm here today with another stuck-at-home running form tip from my living room to yours, helping you use this time as an opportunity to become a better runner. And today I want to talk about running cadence. So a lot of runners who are working on their form or trying to improve their performance or get rid of injuries or a cycle of recurring injury try to increase their running cadence to the magic 180 strides per minute. So your running cadence is the number of times a foot hits the ground in a minute. So that it's a lot. If you haven't thought about this before, it's a lot more than you would think. Even a low cadence is more than twice per second that a foot hits the ground. So that's even slow. And most runners, it's twice per second. No, it's definitely more than twice per second, even for a very low cadence. But a lot of people say that you need to get your running cadence up to about 180 per minute, 3 times per second. And a lot of runners use a running metronome to try and achieve that. And sometimes it causes injury. It completely backfires and it can hurt performance. And so I want to talk today about the biggest mistake that I see people make when they work with their running cadence, and really the best way to do this for injury relief and for performance. And so be sure to hit like because you're going to like this, and subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't before so that you don't miss a video. At the bottom of the description, so in the description, if you click show more, you'll find a couple of free resources that I have for you to help you work on this. So there are 2 lessons I'm going to put in there, and I'll tell you about them as I go through this video. But definitely don't miss out on those. Okay, so like I say, the big recommendation is to aim for, or the most popular recommendation, 180 steps per minute. So it's your stride rate or stride frequency or cadence. The terms all mean the same thing. And that is based on running coach Jack Daniels' observation, or it originated from his observation of runners in the 1984 Olympics, where he observed that virtually all of the runners at all of the distances he was observing, both track and distance events up through the marathon, had a stride rate of cadence of 180. And so for performance, and if you want to run well, you should run at that. You should aim for that stride rate. That has been the recommendation. And there's a second reason that people try to aim for that stride rate, and that is because there's been research that showed that when runners with knee pain, I think also other issues, but in any case, increased their cadence, they changed their gait mechanics, they did less overstriding, and their knee pain improved. And so for that reason also, that's become a very easy recommendation that a doctor or physical therapist or coach can give to a runner who's been having trouble to help them get some relief from whatever injury they're struggling with. Usually knees, can be lower back as well, because overstriding, excessive overstriding, putting your foot out too far in front of you, hitting the ground with your foot too far in front of you, and usually with a straight knee, and usually all the way back on the back of the heel, is associated with these problems. However, from the performance side of things, the sports scientist and journalist Alex Hutchinson has shown that stride rate is actually speed dependent for most runners. So dealing not with Olympians, but with the rest of us, but experienced runners, stride rate varies. And in fact, the sweet spot where the stride rate that gives you the best running economy measured by heart rate for a given speed is different at different speeds for experienced runners, and that most runners spontaneously optimize this. So you're probably already doing that, unless you're not letting yourself spontaneously optimize at different speeds, but you're running with a metronome and trying to always get that 180 stride rate. And I see in my clientele that when runners aim for that 180, it can actually make their stride really choppy and worsen their performance. And this matches what the research that Hutchinson was writing about showed, which is that heart rate actually rises if you get your cadence too low or too high for the speed that you're running for your body. And this is also going to vary. Taller runners tend to have a slightly lower stride rate at the same speed presumably because they have longer legs. So body type also plays into this. So when you run, you are oscillating. There's like the pendulum on a grandfather clock or a metronome or anything that, we see, everything's digital now, not mechanical, so we don't see so many things that quite obviously oscillate, like a bouncing ball. And so, a ball, if you throw a ball at the ground at a certain speed, it's gonna bounce back in a certain amount of time with a certain amount of force. And if you do it closer to the ground, it's going to go more frequently. And if you do it from farther away from the ground, it's going to do it slower. These things settle into their own grooves based on the external conditions, and our bodies are no different. And so your system, which includes the shoes that you're wearing, is going to settle into its best and most efficient groove. And your feedback mechanisms in your body are going to keep adjusting things, especially if you're a more experienced runner, until you find that place where you're running most efficiently at the lowest heart rate that you know how to get for that speed. And yes, when in the research that Hutchinson was writing about, in fact, like a couple steps per minute, 2 to 3 steps per minute in most cases faster was actually a slightly better heart rate, but the performance difference was negligible. So we can assume that your body is basically, you're doing this by feel and by instinct all the time. Again, unless you interfere with it, in which case you are increasing your effort and you're working too hard for the speed that you're running. And I have found with my clients that, when I work one-to-one with runners who are competitive, often masters runners, and so they've usually been working on their stride rate, so they're usually working for 180, that when they let go of that, when they stop paying attention to stride rate and just go through the movement changes, the form changes that we're working on, their stride seems to settle into a range of about 170, somewhere between 170, 175, depending on what kind of workout they're doing. And their speed goes up and their heart rate goes down. So really significant improvement in performance. And this is not happening at the cost of their knee health. This is not happening because they've started overstriding. But it's happening because their stride is opening up behind them a bit more. It's becoming natural for their speed and their body type. And so they're also getting rid of pain. They're not gaining it. And so that's what the lessons that I'm putting down in the description will help you begin to do. Obviously, these clients that I work with they do more than one lesson. We work together for a period of 3 months usually online. But you can get started with the lessons below. And I have put 2 lessons down there. And one of them is called Perfecting Your Foot Strike. And that's my best lesson for helping you spontaneously optimize your foot strike and your stride rate cadence. I've always used the term stride rates. That's the groove I naturally fall into for performance. And if you have a problem with overstriding and heel striking, it will also help you with that. And then I'm putting a second lesson in the description. It's actually a set of lessons. It's called the Runner's Knee Solution. And so that's for you if you've been trying to increase your stride rate to reduce your knee pain or other pain that you have, because that deals with different movement patterns that have probably been causing you to fling that leg out in front of you with the I don't need to use my arm. I could just back up and show you with my leg, couldn't I? I've been causing you, I'm wearing a mic, but it's not plugged in. I've been causing you to hit the ground like this with your foot too far out in front of you. Sorry, you're actually like that, rather than like that. And the way that you optimize that is by balancing the effort in your flexors and your extensors. So the muscles that go like this in your body and the muscles that go like this in your body, by getting a good counter-rotation, or what I call the core action. And when you do that, it has a knock-on effect through your legs. Your pelvis begins to move. Got a ton of videos about that. I'll put a few of them in the description below as well. But when you do that, then it balances the way your leg moves forward. And instead of being straight and flexed, if the knee is going to be bent, the foot is going to be plantar flexed, and you'll hit the ground, depending on your footwear, with a mid-foot strike or slightly more to the forefoot. And then that's a whole other topic. What's the right foot strike? It also is going to vary in the situations, but you never ever want to be landing very far back on the back of your heel with a relatively straight knee. That's always going to cost you. So pick whichever of those freebies below. It's going to work best for you. But like I say, when you balance your core action, you get the same kind of improvement in your foot strike that that doctors and researchers have been recommending increasing your stride rate to get. It's just that they don't know what else to tell you to do. And there's, like I've just explained, there's a downside to increasing your stride rate. Instead of having that downside, improve your core action, you'll stop overstriding and heel striking, but you'll still be allowing your stride rate, your cadence, to self-optimize in different situations, at different speeds, different terrain, different wind, different level of fatigue, which is what really good running is. And that's really high performance for any athlete, any level, even the world class. So that's what I have for you today. And I hope that this has been helpful to you. Like I say, be sure to get the freebies below. Check out all the great resources I have for you on balancedrunner.com. And if you have any questions for me, please put them in the comments. I always check those out before I plan my video for the week, and I'll be very happy to answer them if I can. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday.